Hey, everybody, Joe the Lawyer from My Long Man Cave. Today, city campaigns, the secret to running a good one. All right, this is what I've discovered because I am new at city campaigns. I mean, traditionally, what I've done with cities is essentially they're a place to go and sell stuff, to buy stuff, right? And then you go back into the wilds, into the small village or whatever. You know, if you started with the Hamlet thing, you go to Verbank. If that wasn't big enough, you went to Greyhawk or Divers, right? That sort of thing. And Forgotten Realms, you'd go to, Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate or whatever to buy and sell the big stuff. But it was always sort of a destination, and you get the generic bar scene and all that, and maybe some thief pickpocket share, whatever. But when you're running a campaign based in the city, all right, there is something that I've learned in prepping this that I think would be valuable for you guys. So please, before I get into it, click like and subscribe below. I appreciate it, and spread the word, share it around. Just throwing a comment in there saying thanks or hi, or you suck, whatever, anything, good, bad. It all helps the algorithm, right? So anyway, back to it. Now, city campaigns that I have very limited experience. Most of my experience comes from running as a player with Tim Shorts of Gothridge Manor, where we did a city-based campaign, and also with Rob Connolly, because Rob is the master of all things Worlderlands of high fantasy, and especially City State of the Invincible Overlord. He's been running city-based campaigns for literally 40 years, for maybe 50 now at this point, right? And so I wanted to really understand, and play a character in them. And what I learned from them is everything is about you, like your place in the city, your role, your job. What do you do day to day? And that dictates who you might know, your contacts, right? Like for Rob's campaign, I played a priest, so therefore I had a lot of obligations as in duties, as well as sort of contacts and pull and cred with certain groups, which normally a first level character does not have any of that, right? For Tim's game, I played Snickle the Thief, right? He was a gnome, he was a thief, but his day job was he was a sewer worker, and he had a special shovel he used. That was the whole thing around Snickle, was he had a special shovel, and he's a sewer worker. And then he hardly ever did any thievery, right? He just sort of like did it as he was a tinkerer more so than anything else, locks and that sort of thing. And so but his role as a sewer worker really gave him a lot of like deep contacts and background. He lived in a little tenement house, and a woman owned the tenement house, and he helped out the family, and they helped him out. They made him food sometimes. It was fantastic, right? It was just you get such a sense of immersion. But first and foremost, it starts as what is your role here? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? And from there, you sort of know your neighborhood, right? I mean, you look at a city like Waterdeep or Greyhawk or something like that, they're massive, hundreds of thousands of people. Just like, picture yourself going to a big city now in the world. You're not going to know everything, but you're going to know your neighborhood, right? You're going to know that. So I am using Glynn Seal's The Great City of Lunden, Lunden, and I'll put the link to that below. And it's fantastic. I got a couple copies of the maps, and he was gracious enough to send me a bonus copy as well as the book. And I laminated one set of maps so I could have them out on the table, so that my players, and they get drunk or whatever, don't knock the beer onto the map and ruin it for me. So I laminated all the maps down at Staples there, which is like a copy place in the States here, and they're fantastic, sewer stuff and all that. And so I said, all right, so where are your characters from? What do they know? Where are they at in this city day to day most of the time? I said, all right, boom, here's your character. Several blocks around, and I just listed, for example, all the businesses around, like where my brother's characters live. Here's the 30 businesses around, and here's the names of them and who owns them and what they do, right? And when he gets into that, he's going to have some assumed knowledge of what they do. I'm just going to give it to him if he asks, because he would know there. He's lived there for 20 years or whatever, right? As an adult person in the city. So, that sort of thing. And he could jump into a conversation role playing wise with that assumed knowledge. Like he could walk into the sword Miss Smith or whatever, say, hey, Bill, how you doing? Right? Yeah, that sword, he made me really, really do well. I don't know if they made him a sword, but my brother could start talking about it as if he did make him a sword, right? And I'm just going to go with the flow and role play that out. It's like improv, right? I love that sort of thing. And so that's the first part of it. The second part, here's the real big lesson. All right, so just backing it up, their place in the city matters. Their role in the city, their job in the city. Unlike most adventures where you're nobody from nowhere with no real backstory, you're starting with connections in a place in the world, and so you need to know that area of the world where they're from. All right, that's number one. Number two, all right, as a DM or a GM, whatever you want to call it, what you have to do is let go a bit. All right, because I was trying to over prep, as I always do. I tend to be one of those, if I'm going to run a 3-hour session, it means I need to prep for 12 hours beforehand, right? And so for the initial campaign, that's, session one, that means, yeah, I need to know everything about the whole city. Holy crap, everybody anywhere, just in case they go here. What if they go there? What if they go here? You got to let that shit go. You're never, ever going to be able to know everything about a city. I mean, even somebody like Rob, who's been playing 40 years in a city state of the Invincible Overlord, you can't know everything. You could know a lot, right? The more you play in it, you make that city your bitch, right? You know everybody and everything in there, but you're never going to know everything. And so what you need to have is just tools at your disposal, random tables or random encounter, things like that, because you're never going to know who's on this street corner every day, right? You're never going to know what the average patron of this type of bar is. You don't even know all the bars and what their names are. But as long as you have the tools there to roll them up on the spot, you're good to go. And you just need to improv and go with the flow more so than any other type of adventure. I think the city adventures are challenging for a DM because you need to go with the flow. You can't prepare everything. You can't possibly know everything. You just have to have enough material at your fingertips so that, as well as tables and other things like that, and just have thought about things, right? How does the whole thing interact? The more is up here in like this web of knowledge that you have, the more you're able to go with the flow, the more you're able to improv, the more you're able to just roll with the punches and what the players do. Okay. And sometimes you're not going to know. You freaking make it up as you go. Then that's the best part of being a DM to me, is the improv, to make it up as you go. And you're jointly creating something with your players. All right. That's the best. That is the best type of D&D game for me. It's not us, the players are telling a story. No, because they're not. The dice have something happen, and here's the outcome, right? And it's not the DM telling a story, because then you might as well just be writing a novel and your whole adventure is a railroad. Okay. But what you're doing is you're jointly telling something. Something will emerge. It's emergent role play, emergent storytelling, right? From these pieces that you as the DM all set up there and get out, put into motion, and then the players hit those pieces. It's like a pool table, right? Where you have the players of the cue ball, and all the pieces that the DM have are those, the other 15 balls on the table, and boom, as soon as the players hit that, break the rack, all hell breaks loose. You're never going to be able to predict where shit goes, but you got to roll with the punches. You got to play it. Just play the table as you see it, right? No pool table after a break is ever going to be the same. I think it's statistically fucking impossible. Okay. But you got to play the balls as they lie. See what happens. That's the fun part, right? It's I just think about that. It just came to me, that analogy right now. But that is the fun part of it. So as long as you have enough in your head, you're ready to go. Just roll with it, man. And for the first adventure, if you're a little nervous that you don't have enough, make it minimal in scope, make it narrow, make it something that's sort of self-contained to a certain area, certain neighborhood, something like that. It doesn't have to be this grand sweeping anything. You just minimize the adventure, minimize what's going on, and then you see how much you've prepared allows you to improv based on what they do. All right. It's like a small sandbox within an infinite sandbox, which is kind of what a city is. Almost a big city is like an infinite sandbox, right? You make your own sandbox within sandbox. I guess that's another thing. It's sandboxes within sandboxes, if you want to think of it that way. So those are the two big things. All right. So again, first of all, give them a sense of place, what they do there every day, and that gives them sort of contact and all that sort of thing. Second of all, let go and go with the flow. Prepare enough, but don't worry about it. You're never going to be fully prepared for any city game, ever. But as long as you got enough up here, you got enough tools in front of you, tables and whatnot, and just ideas of how things work, you're good to go. All right. So that's the best thing I could do in terms of advice, is to give you those little 2 bits of wisdom that I've been learning here over the last few years. So hope it helps you guys. All right, please do click like and subscribe if you can. Like I said, just you suck, Joe, in the comments. It's fine. I don't care. It all helps the algorithm, All right. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.